Welcome to the Brew Life Podcast Show, episode 16. I'm your host, Steven. Today we're talking about the cycle of unhappiness. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the podcast show again. Welcome, everyone. And today we're going to be talking about something the opposite that not really a long time ago, but I guess you can say back in November, I made episode 6, happiness. Now we're going to do the flip side. Now it's going to be episode 16, the cycle of unhappiness. We're going to talk about the opposite of happiness, and let's just get into it about the cycle of unhappiness. And I really do feel like we are in some kind of vicious cycle that is just never ending. And it's something that we try to chase, whether it's security, whether we try to chase, something that is impermanent, but we still try to get it. We still try to get it, even though when we do get it, it's like, it's still not stop for us. We can't stop it, We can't stop we can't stop trying to chase that thing that we're trying to find security within. And it's just a never-ending cycle of that, especially as well, not like that, but I feel like as well with just how this society has just been and I really do feel like, how society is built with a vicious cycle that, because you gotta realize this, most of the times, 9 out of 10, we do the same thing every single day. We conform to the same thing every single day. Why? Like I said, it's about security. We're too afraid of what other people think. We've been, so I guess you could say, programmed, I really do feel like, about so many things that it's just become accustomed to. And and also just how people, since we were little, we've always been taught, about these things that's supposed to make us happy. Do these things because everyone is doing it. Do it because, it's all about conformity, right? The usual, right? Just go to school, get a job, go to college, get married, retire, have kids, die. It's just a scary cycle to be in. And especially jobs as well. I really do feel, man, it's very scary to see, especially on, people with jobs, especially ones with the 9-to-5 jobs, and people who don't even, usually don't even enjoy what they're doing. They're just doing it for a sense of security. They're doing it because they're afraid if they let it go, they feel empty. They feel like they're going to suffer. And sure, you may suffer a little bit if you let that thing go that you didn't even like at all. But even if it brought you a lot of money, even if it brought you a lot of materialistic things, it brought you a lot of things that, I guess you'd say, just higher up your ego, that boosted your ego, and that it just boosted your image. Even when you let all those things go and you do feel a little bit suffer, you may get judged. You may just be looked as odd and weird when you go against the grain, man. If you really think about it, I feel like the reason why this world haven't really progressed is because no one really is everyone, 9 out of 10, man, everyone is afraid of going against the grain or doing something different. Everyone is so just oddly just founded, just everyone's so uncomfortable of oh my bad, I don't know, of being different. I don't know what just happened right there. Anyways, moving on, of just being different. Just try to be different, go against the grain. If you really think about it, the people who progress this world, the people who make this world evolve into a better place, are they're the reason why, like they went against the grain. Like if you really think about it. For example, Martin Luther King. Imagine if, Martin Luther King conformed to a to a matrix that just segregated people, Like how back then, man, racism happened. We were split apart. Like a lot of bad things happened back then with segregation between just the color of our skin. Like how crazy is that? Like how that even became a law in the first place? Like judging each other because of a color of our skin, because of this glob of meat. Because of this glob of meat that quote unquote defines us. It's crazy. Like our soul defines us, not this glob of meat, not this outer body, like not this just flesh and bones. Like this doesn't define me. Inside what's defined me. Like my spirit defines me, man. My soul defines me. And like just imagine if Martin Luther King, he saw all this bad things happening, he didn't see, like he saw all these things that he didn't like, segregation, how people were being treated, how just everyone was just so desensitized of the factor of it. Imagine if he told himself, well, like all this bad stuff is happening, but I'd rather just stay in my comfort zone and be passive, stay passive, not really do anything about it. It is what it is, quote unquote, and just move on. I guess accept this, this terrible rule of segregation, and just try to ignore it. If he did that, or just anybody just did that, I feel like we still would have segregation to this day. Like I really do feel like if no one went against the grain back then with segregation, then the world would still been the same of, colored people, quote unquote. I don't really like saying that because, like I say, man, like this flesh and bones doesn't define us. The skin doesn't define us, man. So what's the inside defines us. If like nobody did that, nobody went against the grain and accept what the rules were, then the world would still would have segregation. It would still been the same thing. No progression at all. But guess what? Martin Luther King did the most extraordinary thing. He went against the grain. Like you really think about it, he really did went against the grain. He didn't chose the life of mediocrity. He didn't chose the path of just nothing he didn't chose the path of mediocrity, man. He chose the path of like, yo, I'm going to make change. Like I can do this. And look what happened, man. Like everything, like he really did change the world. And like it just comes to a point where it's just like everyone is just conforming just about anything. It's just how everyone is nowadays, especially how, if you really think about it, we're doing the same dang thing every single day. We're doing the same thing just like everyone else. There's no difference. There's nothing new that we're really doing with ourselves in order to, I guess you can say, get out of this unhappy cycle, to get out of this cycle that we're basically just put upon. Like, if really just think about it, man. I feel like the reason why that we always take the life of mediocrity, which down the line will leave unhappiness. It's going to leave something that is going to make us impermanent. And like when we try to do something, whether it's our dreams, our goals, or just doing something to make us better, to have that extraordinary life, to take the path that is less traveled by other people, or heck, even no one traveling that path, only you, right? When we try to do it, we always somehow just back out. We try to do it and we quit. We make excuses, and when we try, and then when we quit that thing that we actually do love, sure, it may not bring a lot of money. Sure, it may people bash on us. People are going to look at us odd. They're going to look at us weird because we're not conforming to the grain, And when we try, when we quit that thing that we really love to do and try to conform and do the basic old boring stuff that people do, the 9 to 5, college, school, and just anything like that, man, that is just, just average. Like, we always accept average, man. Like, why do we accept average all the time? Like, we're in a world now where we have all this technology and we can use it for the good, you know, and yet we still feel average, man. We still feel average. Like, we always accept mediocrity. We always accept average, like, for some odd reason, because, average is comfort. That's where comfort is. And we always want to be comfort because, who wants to be uncomfortable? Like, if you really gotta think about who really wants to be uncomfortable, it sucks. Though at least when you get out of that outcome of being uncomfortable, you know, at least here's the thing about being uncomfortable. And I think I found a way how to make life more enjoyable overall. You gotta be uncomfortable. You gotta take the path of uncomfortableness, because at least with uncomfortableness, it's always like a new day when you get out of your comfort zone. It's always a brand new adventure when you try something new, when you learn something new, when you add something to make you feel better as a better person, to make you grow as a better person, right? At least with uncomfortableness, there's always an adventure. Okay, there's always a new adventure for yourself. There's like something amazing about getting out of your comfort zone. Whether when you don't get out of your comfort zone, it feels so, I could just say, man, it feels so average. It feels nothing happens when you get out of your comfort zone. Nothing happens. Like, it's just I guess you can say it's just like, like waves. It's just static. It's just nothing really going on. It's in an idle state. Whether when you're uncomfortable, it should be like waves, like ups and downs in with our lives, a balance with comfort and uncomfortable. So most of us take the comfort and we there's no change at all. There's no change. Nothing is changing. I think that's why, for the most part, with this society we really do live in, and it's scary, man. How we just basically, we're just born into this world and working. And here's the thing as well. I think the one reason why people are so unhappy, like, for example, getting out of our comfort zone, trying something new, doing something that we just love doing, right? I feel like one reason why is that it's because we are we are afraid to fail. Like, we are afraid to fail. We are afraid to learn. And that's the process we have to go through. Most likely, 9 out of 10, you're gonna fail at doing that thing. But that doesn't mean it's the end. No, it's just a continuation. It's just like a motivation to put you back up, man. And I've really been thinking about this, man. Like, we've been put in society, for example, like school, right? Yet school is supposed to teach us, quote unquote, right? School is supposed to be a learning place, quote unquote. Though mostly, I don't view school as a learning place, because if school was all about learning, then why don't they make us learn about failure? Why don't they make us embrace failure instead of getting punished when we do fail at that one subject? We always get failed at doing it. How can we learn if there is no failure? You really gotta think about that. How can we really learn when there's no failure? Failure is the process of learning. And I don't really think nowadays at school as well, we're not really learning. We're just working. Doing all these paperworks, nothing. We're not really learning anything. And if we were learning about something, then it has to be a process where it's just fun. But at the same time, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's just a disciplined process. And school doesn't really teach us none of that as well. Like, I've been really thinking about that. Like, how you mean to tell me, school is quote unquote the place to learn, but yet when we go to school, they make us work. There's a difference between working and learning. You gotta realize that difference between working and learning, man. Just like how there's a difference between working and playing, like Alan Watts would say. And, like, that shit's crazy. I've been thinking about that. Like, how you mean tell me it's a place to learn, but yet we get punished to fail? We get punished when we fail at something. We mess something up. When we make mistakes. That's just a process of learning. And yet, school doesn't teach us none of that. They make us work, and when we make one mistake, like, it's like game over for us, And I think, like, right now, that's like one thing that is holding us back, learning to fail. And I think that's why we're so afraid of failing as well, because of school. And this is a life of mediocrity, a life of unhappiness, because we're not pursuing the things that we actually love doing, you know? And just another example of just a life of unhappiness is pleasurable things, man. We're in such a place of state where everything looks gloomy and dark, especially nowadays. Look, everything is going crazy outside. With this society, it's falling apart at this point. With this coronavirus, with the news spreading fear, everyone is such in a low state at this point, man. And what we do instead of just like facing that thing, we just route it. We just go to things that we just tend to chase things. Is what I'm putting it. I think that's the right word to put it. We chase things. I think that's why we're always so unhappy, because we are always chasing things, and yet you gotta realize this, right? When you chase things, for example, like, think about like we were chasing things like pleasurable things, success, money, relationships, all these things that make us seem quote unquote happy when we think about it in our minds. But when we do finally get that thing, we want more and more. It's like an endless cycle. It's like, think about, like, if a snake wanted to, like, have that desire of just biting his own tail, or like trying to eat his own tail, right? In reality, that snake is never really gonna get it, and it's going to be in a loophole of just getting its own tail, just chasing its own tail. A vicious cycle, a cycle of unhappiness. When you get that thing and you think that it's going to make you, like, you think it's going to make you have pleasure, it doesn't really at all. It makes it, you want more and more. For example, like social media. You want, this certain amount of followers. Okay, now you got that certain amount of followers. Let's say you got 1,000 followers. Now you're happy. But then that happiness just wears off. Now you want more followers. Now, I want 100,000 followers. Well, bam, here you go. Later on, you got 100,000 followers. But that doesn't really make you happy still. Now you want 1 million followers, right? Then later on, down the road, you got 1 million subscribers. I'm saying subscribers, my bad. I'm thinking about YouTube, but I'm just talking about, like, Instagram wise, or like any social media platform. Now you got like 1 million followers, and you're happy, you're celebrating. Yes, I got 1 million followers, man. And then it wears off. Now you want 10 million, 50 mil, 100 mil. The cycle is a never endless cycle of unhappiness, because we're chasing a thing that's impermanent, that's not going to set up happiness for us down the line. In order to be happy, you gotta be happy right now. Instead of saying to ourselves, oh, I want that, I want this. How we really came to a point where we just sit down and just say, like, I have, for example, with me, I have a gaming computer that I built, and I'm really grateful for this computer, because without this computer, I wouldn't make this type of podcast or just make anything out of my own imagination. So I'm grateful with my computer that I built, like, at least 2 years ago. And I have just family and friends. I'm just here in the now, man. There's nature, man. At least there's nature. I'm grateful for nature. And we never really come down and just sit down to ourselves, like, what we have. We always focus on the things that what we want, but we never really say to ourselves, what do I have right now, and what can I be grateful? Because in order to be happy, is to be in the now. And also, I just been reading this book recently. It's made by Alan Watts, and I really recommend reading this book. I'm almost done reading this book. I'm on like page 110, and this book is called Alan Watts' The Wisdom of Insecurity, a message for an age of anxiety. And he really talks about the circle of, like, the vicious circle, like the cycle of unhappiness. We're always chasing things that is out of the future, that is all the way in the future, whether it's just drugs, just anything like that. And, when we finally get that certain thing that we always wanted in the future, and we always think that it's going to make us happy, right? When we finally get that thing, sure, it may be happy for a little while, but then that just tends to wear off, and now you want more and more, like the followers. Or with money, say for example, you just got $1 million out of nowhere. You may be happy, you may be just celebrating right now that you just got $1 million, right? But then it just wears off. Like, oh, okay. Now you want more. Now I want 10 million. And the list goes on and on. And with Alan Watts, The Wisdom of Insecurity, he really talks about this, of like how we're always never really in the future. Like, we're never really in the present state. We're never really grateful of the now, because in order to be happy, you gotta be here in the now. Heck, even if this present moment, quote unquote, may be in a bad situation with this coronavirus or something, don't let that stop you. Like, the present moment is beautiful. This is all we have. It's always in the now. We're always in the now. The future is just a concept. You really gotta realize that. In the past as well. And what Alan Watts says about in this book, he really says a lot of truths in this book. How, we always value things in the future, right? We always value things, whether it's through pleasure, whether it's through desire, the animal instinct, the animal side of us, right? You gotta realize this. I guess you say, we as humans, right? We have an animal instinct in us. We have an animal side of us. And what I mean by an animal side of us is the animal side of us, of doing these pleasurable things, doing these things that seems to make us, like, satisfied in life. Though the more we do it, the more and more the more and more we want it, man. There's that, like, animal instinct in us, and like we just, like, take a, like, for example, man, whether, like, for example, just through pornography, right? That animal instinct in you just telling you, oh, go watch it, because, like, it's going to make you feel better. You're going to be satisfied when you watch it. All these things, it's going to be pleasurable and stuff. And then you watch it, right? And then when you're done watching it, you still feel empty. Like, damn, what did I just do? You still feel empty. You thought you were about to get something out of that pleasure because you were looking out to the future. You thought in the future it would be, the outcome would turn out good when you take that, short-term gratification, right? But when you finally did do that action, and you're finally in the outcome, it wasn't really worth it, man. You're just like, ugh. Like, what did I just do, man? Like, you don't feel satisfied. And then later on, that animal side of you wants more and more. It's trying to chase something that's impermanent. Like, you gotta realize this. When we chase things, it's like a lion chasing a zebra. What would a zebra do when a lion is chasing them? They would run. Okay? They would run. Or, for example, like Alan Watts said, when you put a carrot on a stick and you put it in front of a donkey, what is it gonna do? It's gonna start chasing it. But you got the carrot on the stick, right? So it can never really chase it, but it still would, because it's just there in front of them, even though they can't really get that pleasurable thing, which is eating that carrot. And we always do this as well with just chasing relationships, most definitely chasing relationships, man. Like, I really do feel like, as well, like, or just chasing success, chasing money, chasing these things that seem to make us happy, but when we actually do finally get those things, it never really fulfills us in life, you know. And instead, I say it like this: just like, you know, don't be that lion chasing that zebra, man. Be the zebra while the lion's chasing you. Let, bro, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, let the success chase you. Let happiness chase you. Let let the other people, whether it's a person that you're attracted to, let the person that you are attracted to chase you instead of you chasing them. Because when you're always chasing that person that you're attracted to, it's going to be an endless cycle of just nonsense. It's going to be an endless cycle of just unhappiness as well, because you're trying to chase some core of happiness that you're never really going to get. And just about, yeah, man. So I just say it like that. Let the things chase you and stop chasing things, man. It's just an endless cycle. Endless cycle of just unhappiness, I said. And the reason why we chase things is because of life of mediocrity. You gotta really think about this. Like, if we were never really in the life of mediocrity, the 9 to 5 job, school, college, basically all these basic things that we conform to, we're always gonna feel empty inside of us, because we're chasing. The reason why we chase the life of mediocrity is because it's gonna bring security. It's going to bring the boast of our ego. It's going to bring credibility. It's going to bring money. It's going to bring a nice everything, man. And when we do finally get those things, right, we still feel unhappy. It's really scary that we're chasing things that is just not, that's just pretty much setting us up for failure, I guess you'd say. Just pretty much, yeah. You gotta realize this. This is like the world. This is like the position of the world now. We're at this position in the world where everyone will accept mediocrity. Everyone would do the same thing, because what monkeys see, monkey do, right? And it's just crazy how we never really think for ourselves, man. I really do feel like that. And we always, like I said, we always accept average. We always accept mediocrity. Like, you gotta think about this. Like with the cycle of unhappiness, you're born, school, the going to college, the 9 to 5 job, etc. Right? Those things are always impermanent. I really do feel like, especially school as well. Like, with just grades and stuff, oh, get good grades and stuff. And you finally do get good grades, and then you gotta start the whole thing all over again the next quarter, and then the next quarter, and then the next quarter. Basically, just working yourself out, getting a letter, chasing this this impermanent thing, which are these grades, because you think you're gonna get something pleasure out of it, whether it's through validation from other people like your parents, or just a high, or just some sort of just ego of that you're the best. You get these letters. Like, seriously, grades are just letters, man. It's crazy. And you do all of this, right? You work all of this, and yet later on it just kind of wears off, and then the next quarter starts, and then all the grades resets, and you gotta do it all over again, the next quarter, the next quarter, the next quarter. It's just like a 9 to 5 job. You're living paycheck to paycheck. You get that paycheck, okay, I'm happy, I'm the best, and then that it wears off. You spend all that money on materialistic things, probably spend on bills, taxes, and then the reason why most people don't really leave their 9 to 5 job, because they're so afraid of losing money. They're so afraid of suffering a little bit. They're so afraid of just suffering just a little bit. Everyone is afraid to suffer just a little bit. That's why, as well, people are always so passive nowadays. People are always so passive. They don't really take action on the things that they really want to do. They just stay passive. They go idle. They go into that idle state, man. And like, we're always chasing something. For example, the average 9 to 5 worker, chasing that paycheck, chasing money, chasing some sort of quote unquote happiness, even though it's none of that, right? Or for example, like me at school, chasing some grades and just chasing something to get validation out of other people because it's so comfortable to get that validation to do the same thing what other people are doing. It's never really fun. Sometimes, like, going against the grain is probably one of the most scariest things you could probably do, but it's the life that you like. When you go against the grain, you could do whatever you want. You just feel free. That's what I really do feel like, man. Once you go against the grain, you progress the world. You will actually change the world. You change yourself. You don't accept average no more. Everyone accepts average. No one okay, everyone says to themselves, with this life of mediocrity, right? People going to college, they're getting a job, right? Oh, I'm getting this job because I want to be financially stable, right? Stable, nothing happening, just a static, you're just stable. No one really says to themselves most of the times, oh, how can I become financially free, right? No one really thinks outside of the box when it comes to being the greater version of yourself. Like, just thinking outside the box and just, how can I become a better human being? How can I become better than I do yesterday? And this is the thing that I'm still trying to face as well. Like, comfort really just, it can really consume us sometimes, I feel like, as well. And getting out of your comfort zone and just going against the grain it isn't easy all the time, man. But I really do feel like this. Like, the more you get out of your comfort zone, the more life is going to be amazing for you. The more it's going to be an adventure. It's going to be a journey. It's going to be something you're always going to look forward every day. Because you gotta realize this as well. People with life mediocrity, when they wake up every day, they're like, they probably say to themselves, "Oh man, I got this work to do. I hate my job. Oh man, school, all of this, doing the average thing like everyone else is doing." Whether a person who went against the grain, don't accept mediocrity or average at all, they're looking forward to life. They're looking forward to the day. They're motivated. They're just, I guess you say, determined to do that thing as well. And that's the thing why I do really feel like everyone is in a loop of unhappiness. The cycle of unhappiness never stops. It's an endless cycle, and we have to break out of it. And one way we easily get into the life of unhappiness, chasing things, accepting average, and I guess I say just wanting more as well. Just wanting more as well, and just about, yeah, man. Another thing that, that is a trap for us in a cycle of unhappiness and just trying to, it's just an endless cycle, right? Is comparing ourselves to other people, especially on social media, because the social, you really think about it, social media, whether through Instagram, TikTok, all these social media apps, it's always a pretty side. It's always people trying to look flawless. There's always people putting on a persona mask because they're too afraid of showing their true beauty. They're too afraid of just showing their real selves without that makeup, without that persona mask, without that fake personality, without that just they're just being 100% pure self, right? And if you really think about it, man, like, especially just going on social media, you're always comparing yourself to other people. Whether you're comparing yourselves to them with your follower count, comparing yourself to them, how they look, how their popularity, all these things that is for the ego. The ego is mostly just it's just the ego just is just a place that it likes, I guess you say, I don't know how to explain it, but I guess you can say the ego likes that source of validation, especially on social media, you know, or just comparing yourselves with them with likes and all this stuff that we just do, but at the same time, it's impermanent, right? And like we take a step far of just trying to, upload on social media and stuff by modifying our face, putting makeup, putting filters, trying to look pretty, trying to look nice, trying to look strong, trying to look imperfection. No, I mean not imperfection. My bad. Trying to look perfectionist and stuff. We're trying to look something that we're not. That we're not. Definitely something that we're not. And then when we finally post that post, right? It's finally uploaded. Now we're even more anxious on uploading because now we always have to outdo ourselves with a better and better post. We're living up to other people's expectations. We're not really living up to our expectations or anything like that. We're always living with other people's expectations, man. And expectation, it can be a good side of it, but most of the time, I always see it as like some bad side of it, man. Especially with the cycle of unhappiness. The reason why we're not really happy because we are living up to other people's expectations, our families, our friends, all this, and other people are trying to live up to our expectations, and we're trying to live up to their expectations. It's an endless cycle of unhappiness as well. Living up to people's expectations, comparing ourselves to other people, the grass is always greener on the other side. Just, if you really think about it, you're in your backyard. Imagine yourself, you're in your backyard, right? You're putting plants in the backyard. You're making it look pretty, right? The grass looks so nice on your yard, right? You think it's really good, which it actually is, right? Though, then you look at your neighbor's grass, and theirs looks so much better. Their greenness of their grass looks so beautiful. It looks flawless. It looks imperfection. But you don't really know that because that's not in your view. You only see the pretty side of their yard. You never really see the bad things about their side. You're right. The dirtiness of it, or just anything that is right. Because like we never really see the imperfection. We never really see the flawed side because with social media as well, you can basically control your self image. You can delete comments. You can delete that post. You can delete everything that made you flawed, that made you imperfect, like that just made you a human, I guess you'd say, and make a pretty you. And when someone goes on that page of that person just censoring, I guess you'd say, of their pretty, no, of their just unprettiness, of their real selves, then they start to get jealous. They start to see that they start to feel bad about themselves. Like, dang, like wow, that person looks great. They're having a good life. It seems like they're having nothing but popularity. Like a lot of people must like them. And now you start feeling bad about yourself when you see that Instagram page or just anything of that with social media. Though you never really see the bad side of it. You never really see the behind the scenes of them, right? You don't really know what's like their life without, behind the camera, or just without, like, I don't know how to explain it, man. You just don't know what it is like behind the scenes. They're always showing the pretty side, but yet they never really show what's going on behind the scenes. Like, you really gotta think about this. Like, most of the time in social media nowadays, people won't really post a picture of them without makeup, with them without filters, with them just being their natural beauty, right? You know? And this is just where expectation starts, and the grass is always greener, man. Or let's say you're a person working out. You're doing so good, right? You're proud of yourself. You're doing good, and you're just loving working out, right? And then you see another guy working out, right? And he's like stronger than you. He's more bulkier than you. You know, he is just overall the type of person that seemed to be perfect. and now you're focusing on his grass, right? You're focusing on his grass instead of yours. And then later on down the line, then we start, like, I guess you say, comparing ourselves to our past selves or comparing ourselves to our future selves. You know, for example, like, just most of the time, have you ever just had that thought and you just comparing yourselves to the past, like, man, what happened, man? Like, the good old days was a golden age, like everything good happened in the past, but you never really see the ugly side of the past. You never really see, like, the bad things that happened in the past, the things that you actually struggled in the past and that you actually overcome, right? And you never really see just the ugly side of your past self. Now you're always seeing, oh man, everything back then in life used to be beautiful, everything used to be good. Now in this present moment, everything just sucks, man. Like, I wish I could go back in time and just relive the moments. Or you start looking back, or you start looking in the future, man, and like you're just saying to yourself, like, oh man, I can't wait for the future. I'm gonna do this in the future. I'm gonna do that, but yet the only time you got is now. In order to be quote unquote in the future is to do it right now in the present moment. It's really crazy how this is just an endless cycle. If you really think about it, it is an endless cycle. Whether through mediocrity, chasing things, comparing things, it's a cycle that I do not want to be in, and you shouldn't too. Like, seriously, it's a cycle that we all got trapped on once in our lives, and I'm still trying to get out as well, man. And it's just crazy how we we just do this, man. Like I said, man, the grass is always greener. It's an endless cycle, and then just really think about it. You're comparing yourself to the greenness of their grass, but you don't realize the imperfection of their grass because that's not in your view. And then another person looking at your grass and seeing and saying to themselves, wow, their grass looks good, man, I'm jealous about their grass. It's just an endless cycle with the ego, endless cycle of just validation overall. It's just, man, and we never really just be grateful of the now, though. We never really so grateful of just focusing on our lane, focusing just on us in this present moment, because the present moment is beautiful, man. Sure, quote unquote, the past may look beautiful back then, but you never really see the bad side of the past, and you never really see the things that you actually struggled with in the past, which you overcame later on. And it's an endless cycle, man. It's a scary cycle that we're in right now. And it's just crazy how most of us are living like this, and we don't even know it because we're so blinded by the pretty lie. The pretty lie is just beautiful. Just, I guess you say, unicorns and rainbows. We never really can accept the ugly truth, because the ugly truth always hits us hard in the face. The ugly truth always hits us hard. Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing, man? Like, I gotta change. Or just like, you just gotta accept that ugly truth, man, and just move on. And most of us, we can't really accept that ugly truth within us, man. And we'd rather just accept the mediocrity, the average. That's where the pretty lie is. The pretty lie is mediocrity. Pretty lie is average. The ugly truth may be a slap in the face. It may be a punch in the face, but that's where improvement comes in. The ugly truth makes you become a stronger person overall, if you really do think about it. And man, that's just another example. I just really do feel like of just the cycle of unhappiness. So let's get into it more deeper, I guess you say, of this rabbit hole of the cycle of unhappiness. And I want to talk about more about what other things, man. I feel like this is really important because this is the one that I tend to struggle with as well. Man. Back in the day, I used to do a lot of YouTube. I used to be, I guess you say, a content creator as well, man. I made Minecraft videos and gaming videos, all type of sort of content for the passion. Back in, I think I started my YouTube channel around 5th grade and middle school. And I was just so excited about it. I was just so proud of my YouTube channel. Like, I'm finally a YouTuber. Like, this has been a dream come true. Like, I was doing it just for the passion as well, man, because YouTube is still pretty much my passion, man. I love making YouTube videos. It's just so much fun just doing it. Unlike TikTok, I mean, that's another topic for another day. But I was just doing something that I love doing, right? But then I started worrying about what other people think about my channel, because the more I started doing YouTube and stuff, the more I talked about with my I guess with my peers and stuff about my YouTube channel. And a lot of people, especially back in 6th grade as well, a lot of people just made fun of my YouTube channel, thought it was cringe and all that. And I was just I was living into another person's expectation. I was living in another person's life. And I took their advice of just, wow, maybe my videos are cringy, man. Maybe, man, my content is bad and all that stuff. And then I started getting demotivated with this YouTube grind and stuff, and just having that passion for YouTube as well. And I still love doing YouTube, man. Like I said, but back then a lot of people were making fun of my YouTube channel. It was just pretty much like, yeah, a lot of people were making fun of it. you know, and I started getting more and more embarrassed. I couldn't have that I couldn't deal with other people seeing my videos and thinking, oh, what if they think that is bad? What if this? What if that? Right? I was too much living into another person's life. I was too much living into another person's expectations. And what did I do? Right? What did I do after that? I just quit it, man. I quit YouTube. I silently deleted all my videos that I created, and I just quit it. Until, later on, now in 2020, I'm finally back on YouTube. I'm finally making YouTube videos again, but I really do wish I never really made that decision. But at the same time, though, I'm really glad that, you know, I get to learn from that experience, and just shows me that you shouldn't really care what other people think, man. That's another thing about Cycle of Unhappiness as well. Like, I quit my YouTube channel, and then I try to, I guess you could say, conform to the society, conform to average, conform to mediocrity, instead of living for extraordinary, living for the adventure, which is starting something new with something risky, just like starting your own YouTube channel, right? And especially other people at my school as well. A lot of people at my school, back in my middle school days, they used to do a lot of YouTube videos. They used to make a lot of content, and most of them even quitted. Most of them just quit YouTube and just, I guess you could say, conform to life. Conform to the crowd, right? And even if they love doing it, but they couldn't just bear themselves just other people watching their videos thinking that's quote unquote cringy, or just like, I don't know how to put it together, man. I forgot what I was about to say, but or just like, they couldn't just bear just other people seeing it, right? Or just seeing their channel, or like, okay, I finally got it. Or like, you're just self-criticizing themselves. Oh, my videos are bad, they're cringy as well. Maybe people are right. Then they just quit off YouTube, or just quit out, or it can just be on any hobby. It could just be anything that you just love doing, but yet other people's opinions are blocking you from doing that thing that you love doing. And nowadays, man, ever since I'm back on YouTube, I really do love doing it again, man. It's good to be back. And now I just don't really care what other people think about my content, man. It is what it is. It's other people's opinions. It shouldn't really affect me overall. If that's their opinion, they have that. Oh well, that's cool, man. And it just comes down like, a lot of people quit on doing that thing that they love doing. The thing that pursues them into becoming much greater. Especially, for example, like, Spider-Man 2, right? Let's talk about that movie. That movie is such a great example. Spider-Man 2, right? Peter Parker, you know, he loves being Spider-Man, right? You know, like the New York City needs Spider-Man in that movie. A lot of people depend on him, right? And though like his life starts going downhill, a lot of bad things are happening to him. He's having financial issues. You know, he is just having relationship problems with his best friend. All these bad things were just overall was tearing him apart. You know, life seemed to be so gloomy for him. And the thing that made him a better person, which was becoming Spider-Man, because without becoming Spider-Man, man, is like without becoming Spider-Man, like how could he grow, man? Like how could he grow as a better person? And you just really gotta think about that. And then he just quitted becoming Spider-Man. And what he did, and like what he did for the return of quitting Spider-Man, life of mediocrity. He quitted becoming Spider-Man to having a quote unquote average life, to having the normal life, to conform again. And when he conformed again, like, man, it's just crazy how we just quit on doing our passions and stuff. Just like how in Spider-Man 2, he quit doing the thing that made him him, right? And he just took mediocrity until later on in the movie, he knew he couldn't do that. You know, he knew he couldn't just accept of just living this quote unquote normal life, right? And becoming Spider-Man again. And doing the thing that is right. You know, doing the thing to save the day, because New York City did need him in the movie after all. And just about. Anyways, guys, I think that is it for today's episode. Thank you guys for listening so much. And we talked a lot, man. And I feel like I feel like I kind of like haven't really tackled on a lot of things with this topic, because you know, getting deep into this topic, there's a lot of things to talk about. But I think that's it for today's episode. And just about, yeah, man. If you guys enjoyed listening, just, you know, support me just by subscribing to my YouTube channel, Fan Unbroken, or the Brew of Life show on YouTube. I'll put that in the link in the description below. And if you just want to support me anyway, just like, subscribe on the YouTube platform that would just really help me overall. As well, just doing my passion into a full-time thing, just doing it, you know, just for the fun of it, man. Just because I just love doing it, man. Like, I really do love doing this. And right now, I'm kind of feeling tired. I don't really know why, but anyways, that is it for today's episode. Thank you guys for listening. And just about, if you want to be on the show as well, make sure to DM me on just on any platform, on Instagram, Twitter. Put that in the link in the description as well. And also check out my clothing brand Launch Off, and just check that out. Link in the description below as well. I'm saying that a lot, my bad. But anyways, just about, if you want to support me, just like, comment, or just subscribe on the YouTube platform, or just share this podcast episode to anyone else, because I really do want to do this more and just pursue it more. So just about, So anyways, guys, that's it for today's episode. And I just really hope you guys really do take care of yourselves. I really do love you guys. Like, seriously, man. Like, the things that I've built, or heck, even we just built overall, just becoming a better person, and just our foundation. It's just crazy what we made, right? We just made this out of our hands, right? It's crazy. Anyways, my name is Steven. This is the Brew of Life show. And take care of yourselves. You know, stay motivated, stay determined. Even though if life may look kind of a bit gloomy with this coronavirus, don't let that stop you, man. Anyways, peace.